start streaming.
I forgot to do this.
Why are you gonna? Are you gonna shut the door? It's all over the floor. Lottery tickets. Some strange things. I wonder if it's a winner. Is the stream going?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna pop in.
So you have people.
Okay, there's 2 people. I'm early. I always come in around 4 o'clock. Actually, I would think I was late because I usually am just before 4. Okay. Oh, is this today's lottery ticket? No. 7th? Oh, no, that was from the other day. Okay. Sorry, found a lottery ticket just laying here as I was sitting here. Wait for it to spool up. And again, I'm looking at screen to screen. It doesn't tell me how many people are in or out or what's going on. So I don't have that. Why don't I have that?
Huh. Of what?
Well, it tells me how many people are in or whatever, any numbers. I don't have any way to tell. Like, see, I know there's 2 people. There we go. There we go. That's better. Okay, that gives me an idea. Okay. Uh-oh, there's spam. Good, we got a spam call. You're on the air. How can I help you? You're live on the air. Legends Live on Fridays. How can I help you? They didn't want to talk to us again. We're going to get one of these guys on the air eventually. Get him to talk. All right. Anyhow, after the rendezvous. See, none of the rendezvous people are in because we're still trying to recuperate. And there we go. I'm KJ. Troll. Who's a troll? Huh? Okay. People going back and forth with their call signs. Hey, Jackson. Hey, Bodie. All right, we're waiting for everybody to come in and for it to be less confusing or more confusing or however we do it. Yeah, I got through the rendezvous and we kind of did that update on Monday where it really had a great time. Actually went very, very smooth, very nice. The only problem we had was our wireless microphones went down. And here, I will get this. We've already picked up new wireless set, sure. So we put some money on that. So I knew, and actually these are going to be lav mics, so it'll be another upgrade. Nobody will have to on that. He's not a troll. He was a potential spam. He was just calling to wanting to buy my house or sell me insurance or a warranty on my truck or something like that. He was trying to be helpful. Except Hurricane Ida took down my tower and all my antennas. That would suck. So there you go. Hurricanes can do that. So anyhow, but we picked up that. But we had a really good time. We were able to actually show the trailer for Sunsets. Trevor maybe will put together some official trailer eventually that we'll put out so people get a good taste of that. But everybody had nothing but big compliments and all. It came off very well. And so we got that. We have a big screen we could do outdoors, but we were worried about the wind. Plus, it was really cold. Once the sun went down, it got really cool out there. So we wanted to do it indoors with the fire and stuff. Of course, because that was a vote, I let everyone who was in camp vote whether we do it outdoors or indoors. And it was almost a unanimous vote to go indoors with a fire. We didn't bring any major lighting. Usually I have a bunch of LED lights I bring that don't put much glare that light up the large Ramada, which probably would hold close to 300 people. Well, we didn't bring those expecting to be outside, we brought the big lights, and those would have been too bright. As it was, it doesn't take a lot of light to light that up, but you need something more diffused. So that was a problem. Discrete channel. Okay, I'm gonna have to back it up. Hey, Clint, how's it going? Everyone that's recovering and looking Balmore's picture from the front of the line. Yeah, well, there was a lot of passing of bottles. Well, if you missed, wife's car broke down. So you had to go rescue her. Okay, well, we'll give you a pass on that one. Trying to find my new book, Tales of the Superstition. My book was messed up. Trying to find a new book, Tales of Superstition. That's gonna be hard. There might be a copy or two. I don't remember. Did we see any at the museum?
I don't remember.
It's gonna be tough because I don't think he quit printing those, so I don't think there's any more in print. And Thomas is not one for social media. Thomas actually, if you have his phone number, he turns his phone on once in a while, so you can catch him if he's not at home because he'll turn his phone on. And his email's been jacked up off and on for quite some time, so it's really difficult to get him. And next time I talk to him, I'll ask him if there's any copies of Tales out there. It's like to also rip my roof to shreds and all that. Channel, hi Wayne, hi Trevor producer. Did you see the new video by Larry about Ely Sims' book? It'd be Sims Ely. I watched about half of it, and he wasn't really talking. He was talking more about the autobiography of Sims Ely. I don't know what he knows. Thomas Glover pretty much covered a lot because he's friends with the Ely family, and I got to see a lot of the Ely material. I've seen actually the early rough draft versions of the book, and they added a few things into it, but basically they just tried to trim it down and make it more readable because it was written more like a technical book. It's, people will jump on things, and I don't know. So I was going to finish watching it, and I didn't know someone would bring up that question, but I went over just to see what Larry had to say about it because I don't know if Larry got all the material that Thomas donated in and went through it all. He may have, he may not have. And he did talk about the 7 different versions of the bark notes. They're almost all identical. There's nothing really different in them. It's punctuation and things like that. There's nothing that's that big of a difference that would change the story. Someone's come home and Dexter is happy in the other room. So I'll cover that. How many people want to see Trevor live? Raise your hands. Trevor didn't raise his hands. Cold nights. The nights were cold. I didn't hear you making your chili. We didn't make chili. This was the last year I won't do it. I feel everybody feels safe enough now. My problem with making the chili, and I explained to the people that were there, was there are people that worry and people come out. Some people still keep a good distance. They do their hand sanitizer and stuff. I'm an unvaccinated person. Having an unvaccinated person making your chili and everything and going on could disturb or cause some people some problems. So even though I've never had COVID, I've never had any symptoms or any feeling of it, but I've been around plenty of people that have had it and never picked it up. But because of that, I wanted to make sure we were kind of free and clear and give people that breathing room. So it was mainly that. It was just for those reasons. And I didn't, there's been a couple people have gone out of the Rendezvous. Woody was one. But there's been 2 or 3 people that had COVID after they left the Rendezvous, but they probably picked it up elsewhere and fortunately didn't spread it there. But that's mainly the reason. So next year I'll be back to the chili. Gil Gold Prospecting from San Antonio, Texas is having a golden day. Okay, last week we didn't do live. Last week we ran the Bulldog video, didn't we? Yeah, we ran a Bulldog video. Why can't you send pics on live chat? I don't know. Why can't you? Is this like a joke?
No, they just don't let you.
That's what Larry said. Okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't catch what, I didn't catch all of what Larry said. I got about halfway through it. He was talking about the Hoover Dam stuff, and his writing and stuff was very technical writing. And there's not much differences between all the material. There was embellishment to make better storytelling. But Yeah, Lost Dutchman of Mine, the book by Sim Zeeley, was primarily written by Sim Zeeley to talk about his partnership and his time searching the mountains for the Lost Dutchman with Jim Bark. That's one of the main purposes of it, was kind of looking back in life at their partnership, since Jim Bark had passed away by then, and he was encouraged to do that. And so, but I will finish it. I will finish it. Larry's cool. I like Larry. Sometimes you call a climate, and that's cool chilling. Okay. Did Sal really not have food or shelter? There a carpet behind my camp, as well as a dozen loaves. Sal didn't bring any food. Sal did not bring a tent or anything. He didn't drive himself. He didn't have a sleeping bag. I think someone lent him a blanket. From what I know, is we kept trying to offer things to him, and he refused. But as you could tell at a couple points, he was cold, and he basically sat in a borrowed chair at night. Once we all went to bed, he would sit in a borrowed chair, and then he was burning some firewood to keep himself from freezing. But yeah, that was his choice. I fed him. Was it Sunday? I tried to feed him at times, and so he just would refuse. So it was, yeah, I don't know what was going on with him, because usually he brings some stuff and all that. And yeah, he when we found out, we all tried to help out, but yeah, he wasn't saying anything. And that night before, I was telling him, what he could have done.
That's why I was worried about you not cooking the burger enough.
Yeah, then of course after Sal, who's eaten rotten food, expired food that's laid out in the desert for 2-3 weeks, all kinds of crazy things. Then he was worried because he doesn't like medium rare burgers. I put cheese on it, put some ketchup on it. Get out of here, Sal. Let's see. Bark knew something, but he did not know what it means. So I know Bark's notes were worth. Jim Bark was pretty intelligent. Their partnership. Sim Zeeley was the physical one. He was the in the mountains rock climbing guy that got into a lot of stuff and out there. Jim Bark, even though he was more the physical specimen of the two, he was more of a bookworm, and he's the one that went to Spain and looked up stuff and did a lot of traveling and things like that. They were kind of opposites in a way, but they worked together. But Sim Zeeley was the smaller, frailer looking individual, but he was the hardy, mountaining guy. Big energy on that and all that. Saw that no island burgers for Sal. Yeah. I don't think bacteria could live in Western style chili, but we'll bring the chili back next year. Put up a pot. These live shots make my heart feel warm. Though, thank you for being there. I'm not really the best of health, but I feel happy fine now. Well, good that you can feel happy and fine now. And we all survived the rendezvous. And Clint did. Clint's first time out, I don't know if Clinton was like definitively the fish out of water. And he made it all the way through and stuff, and did just fine. So he should be very proud of himself. He survived sleeping in the same camp as Salvador. So, but it was a good time. I think everybody really enjoyed themselves. And like I said, the few things, that we tripped on, like the microphones going out for the guest speakers, we were able to use a plug-in lav mic, so we had to use a wired-in mic. But now we bought a new set of lavs that are wireless, and so we went from, we spent 3-4 times the amount on the new mic system. So it'll be a much better upgrade. So we're always upgrading, always doing things, trying to make everything better. So there we go. But no, I'm glad everybody feels good and everybody's happy, and I'm glad everybody made it home safe, and I think everybody had a pretty good time. I think some of the conversations were pretty cool and pretty good. We did a bunch of storytelling and stuff. Someone mentioned something about they didn't think there was enough Dutch hunting talk. But there was quite a bit and some significant stuff. They just weren't there when it happened. And if you go off and you're not there, then you miss on that. And Jesse's talk was about Dutch hunting and the Dons. I mean, that conversation can always change. But the first Don's trek, they were taking the people that showed up out into the mountains searching for the Dutchman. That was a bigger thing early on with the Dons. So there was plenty of Dutch hunting talk and a lot of different things. And a lot of people got a lot of great information because there was a lot of books that went out. I know, I'm trying to think. One of Jack Sanfelice's, Jesse's new book, Sikorsky's book went out. Carlson's hiking guide, some of those went out. What else went
That
out?
DeGrazia book.
There was a DeGrazia book, which is the paintings from the Superstition collection. And some people believe there's clues to things that he hid and stuff in those. I know there were several. There's a good collection of books and stuff.
Bark notes.
The Bark Notes. There was what else was there? I know there was a bunch of stuff. So it was really good stuff. There was a Dutch Hunter's Rendezvous hat we tossed out there, one of the nice embroidered ones, and a coffee cup. So it was really cool. You know, a lot of people, we had one big winner. It wasn't the usual big winner. But, you know, hey, if you buy 50, 60 tickets, you're going to get pulled a lot. So it didn't matter. And they did that in two different points. So they bought a bunch of tickets and they came back and bought a bunch more. So I don't know if they got their value out of the whole thing in the end. Because if you bought 50, that's $250. But I guess you could. I don't know. But anyways, they did really well. And I think everybody had a really good time. So next year, bump up the chili for Saturday nights and put the pot on and stuff. And we'll kind of go from there. Hey, if I would have hit the lottery next year, I would have cooked steaks for everybody. Could have done that. Could have brought someone in and just cooked steaks. Everybody could have had steak. That would have been good. Did you run into any of the MUFON attendees? They posted a short vid from the parking lot. I'm not a member. What is MUFON? Is that the UFO people? Because there was a bunch of people down there hooting, hollering like a bunch of jackasses with firecrackers up their asses. They sounded like they might have been drinking or smoking dope. They're kind of weirding out, and we were up there talking in the dark quietly. If I would have known it was like some kind of nutties like that, man, shit, we could have had some fun. You imagine that, Trevor? We had plenty of shit in camp to really spark that. Yeah, I didn't know. So MUFON. Look, you're looking up MUFON or anything? Yeah, I don't know what MUFON. Is that the UFO guys? Ed's just laughing. I don't know. I don't know what MUFON is. I know what MOFO is. Trevor's going blank. Okay. It was so quiet the first night. It was well. No, those guys were down there on Saturday night, weren't they? Yeah, it was. Friday night was like very, very quiet. Start buying lottery tickets. Why? All the big money went away again. Mutual UFO Network. Oh, Ed, if I would have known those guys down there, we would have had the time with them. But they were down there like a bunch of I would say 15-year-olds with their first beers. That's what they sound like. They would sound like a bunch of frickin' nutcases. We would have invited them up and had a time. Even Clint could have participated in that. There would have been some serious fun.
Where they posted it?
What?
So they posted a short.
They posted a short video. Well, we'll watch it later. We'll have to watch it.
At?
I don't know. But yeah, we heard a bunch of people carrying on. We just figured it was a bunch of drunk, stupid people down in the lower parking lot that didn't know we were up over the hill. So, who knows? And we didn't really have anybody come into camp, did we? Because we can, from the camp and the fire we were at all night, we could see the ridge line. So any of them come moving in, we would have seen them come up the hill and come in, because you can't come in the ravines there. But I could hear them and stuff. And they were, so I don't know, man. So I don't know. You participated. You participated in the Mutual UFO Network. Yeah. They didn't see no UFOs. But it sounded like they were having a good time, whatever they were doing. Yeah, so, because they were just hoot and holler, and then they get quiet, and then they hoot and holler, and they get quiet. So I don't think they were really trying to look for UFOs. Maybe they were seeing some of the embers off some of the big bonfires we had. But they never came up the hill. And so, it's funny because Peter Esposito, the first year we wanted to do a lot of advertising for the Rendezvous. We wanted to build in, and Kristen Gibbons did some really nice signs. When you pull in, there's a couple of really nice signs that Kristen did, and we're always thankful and happy that she did those. Help us out. There might be 3. Anyways, Peter wanted at the end of the parking lot going up to the Don's camp to put a banner sign with an arrow, and he wanted to, we were like, what do we put on it? Dutch Hunter Rendezvous. And we want to use it every year, so we don't want to put the year. We put Dutch Hunter Rendezvous with an arrow and stuff, and he said, well, it needs more than that. And he wanted to put symbols. He wanted to put flying saucers and little aliens on it. That was pretty funny. And it would have been funny if we had that and put it up, because all those guys would have ended up in camp. So, and they're always fun when they end up in camp. So I don't know how many were down there, and I don't know. You might know this, Wayne. Was Barker Ely still around when Brownie Holmes' manuscript was made public? No. Ely. Jim Bark died probably in the 30s, late 30s. Sims Ely died shortly after his book was published in 54. I think Herman died in 53, and then Ely died in 54 or something. 54, 55, right in that area. I don't think Brownie Holmes even was sitting down to write that thing till what, probably the 70s. So that would be, I would think. We have to somehow keep the yuppies out if the Dons camp. Well, no, and Sal calls them the yappies. I don't know, but he kept calling them yappies. I don't know what that means and where he came up with that, because we had a hard time because we think always Sal's accent is interfering, and he kept referring to the yappies, the yappies. We don't want no yappies. It's like, what? No what? But yeah, he didn't want the. Well, you want all kinds of people. You want all kinds, because you want people to come in with very interesting perspectives and hear what they think. I'm sure Clint did not know what was going to occur and the discussions that were had, because there was a lot of murder and death discussed the first night, which made him a little more than a little uneasy. But I think you want to hear those people and watch their reaction when they understand of kind of what the world was like and a lot of that stuff. So it's really interesting to kind of get people with a different perspective and all. The vid was actually informative, talking with a fellow about Firefall and how they carried off the charcoal. So it was the UFO guys and they were talking about the Firefall. Okay. Are you talking about our video? Because our video was about the Firefall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused now, Ed. One of the multiple attendees, MUFON, they had posted a short vid from the parking lot. I'm not a member. I don't know. Okay, I don't know that. Yes, the murders, lots of laugh. Well, I wouldn't laugh because they did murder people and they moved bodies around and stuff. So, but it's kind of cool, I always think, to sit there firsthand and hear the people that were around and a lot of what happened. And we had more than a few people discussing some of that stuff. And it was funny because I talked to Greg Davis, and me and Greg Davis were talking, and Greg wasn't completely unaware of some of the body repositions of some of these people and all. And he's like, kind of almost, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you sit around with these guys, why don't you listen to them? Which was a very, very interesting discussion Jesse Feldman and I had the other day, because we were talking about something. And Jesse made a point, and anyone that was there will understand because they heard Sal go on about it. But he said, there is one thing Sal is not, and he is not a liar. And he is not. Sal will not lie to you. I'm not always sure what he's talking about or where his head's at with what he's talking about. But if Sal is trying to impart something to you, he does not lie to you. He's not going to lie. Which is hard to explain with some of the things you hear maybe, but Sal believes in everything he says, and he does not lie. So when you hear Sal say some stuff and you're like, that's some sketchy, shady, what's going on? No. So that stuff's true. But it's good for people to understand that the world and how it wasn't that long ago. The world today still moves that way. It just depends where you're at and what you're doing. So, but it was good discussions on what had happened in the mountains and who with whom, and kind of looking at some of the reasons why. Some of the reason for this is there are people that are always at the Rendezvous. There was about 7 or 8 people this year at the Rendezvous that really don't regularly attend or something, but were interconnected with other people, and I got to meet them. There was a couple different guys from different time and eras of Crazy Jake's cruise. And sometimes they come in and hear bits and pieces of this stuff, and they follow up because they know some stuff and information of like, okay, we'll know what kind of happened in this incident. Well, we won't know exactly why all this occurred. What was the big reasoning for all this? And in that case, that person might say, well, I just happen to know so-and-so, and this is what I heard. So there was a lot of cool stuff. There was a few things that were dropped I didn't know were public knowledge like they were, and I won't repeat them because I'm not sure how well in the public they are. But they definitely went from just a few people privately knowing to a group of probably 40 or 50 people knowing very quickly. And I was like, oh, I didn't think that was supposed to kind of be out there in the public eye on that, because the particular person is living and we're not sure he would be happy that that was discussed. You have to be old school training. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. But anyways, okay, so old school training. But I always believe at the Rendezvous, just open up and talk. If it's going to get you thrown in jail, then maybe don't talk so much. But I always say there's a lot of area you can kind of work things in and kind of resolve things and get stuff done and provide some clarity in some areas. And at the same time as you're providing the clarity, sometimes you're providing closure for families and other people. And people may not always like to hear what you have to say or what you're talking about, or fundamentally just the truth. But you don't have to beat them over the head with it and get an argument. If someone wants to flip you off and say fuck you and get all pissy about it because you just spoke the truth or something that's pretty well documented and they don't agree with it for whatever reason, then piss on them. And if they want to have an issue with things, only a couple of people have ever gotten close to me walking them out the gate. But we will just walk you out the gate and say just go home. We don't need that here. The whole idea is everybody be able to share freely. And no matter how stupid it sounds or crazy or fantastic, we just laugh and just have a good time. I thank you. You deserve a pause of 5 minutes. However, I think the participants of the live chat should give you a minute golden pause after 5 minutes. You get one. I don't even understand that, Herb. Are you Herb or Herb? That's a point to make. But definitely, like I said, we had a really good time. And the campfires were good because we got up to around 30, 35 people around the campfire at a given time on a couple occasions. And we had some great people coming from out of town and a lot of number. Always interesting to me are the people that drift in that don't really want to be known and they don't want their names dropped. And they usually think they circulate pretty under the radar, but they don't to some degree. But we're very aware of them, but I don't call them out. And I just kind of let it slide. And if they want to make their introduction and spend some time, I just kind of play along. And several did like that, and that was cool because maybe they'll come out of their shell a little bit a little later. But you have to remember, there's plenty of people that have had to deal with the crap like I did from the 70s and 80s and even early 90s. And these people are not always as fond knowing some of those people from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s are still out there. So there's some issues, and we'll be dealing with a little bit of that on the Monday Chasing Legends. I'll talk about that perspective to some degree. But there still are different schools of thoughts. Let's see. You can take a rest and a little break to drink some water. You deserve it. What did you put in here, Herb? What did you put in my Dr. Pepper? I vote for a golden pause for wait. Well, I'm in charge, okay? So I'm the one that calls it. I'm not calling my own golden pause. Will vids or audio by the speakers he posted sometime? No, that's one thing we do not do. We've never. Terry Carter asked Jesse if he could film and record and post his. Jesse asked him not to. I've never posted the speakers' discussions on an official speaker. I always ask. They always say, oh, I don't really want. Okay, no problem. So Greg Davis does do an audio recording. That's just because Greg doesn't ask permission, he does it. But because I do ask permission is, do you want me to, because I asked them, and do you want me to record this so that you can have a copy and we could post this if we wanted, or I could preserve it for this? They go, Greg's doing an audio. I really don't want it filmed. Therefore, I have no, other than when Clay came out, Fireside, and discussed some stuff and a couple things like that, but not guest speakers. So the speakers have never been recorded. I've taken pictures when they're speaking, but they have never been recorded except for Greg Davis's audio recordings from the Rendezvous. And I do that just because that's what they asked for. And I just decide Boom. Okay. It's what they want. So I respect my guest speakers like that. That's just the same as if someone comes up and says, "Oh man, dude, we don't really video, if you noticed, at the Rendezvous. We've done very, very little video. We always, if you look at the pictures, you will see it's known people. And I know those people are known or they associate with known people. So, like, you're going to see pictures of Woody and me and Frank. Time in the past, we've done Casey Morgan. We've done Greg Shoes, and Shoes don't care. Jesse and Kristen don't really care. Frank doesn't. Sal doesn't. So you'll see that's kind of the group that you're seeing in pictures for the most part. It's just because I know how other people can be. They'll post their own stuff on social media if they want. I always kind of let people have their privacy. And I'll ask, sometimes we'll do a group picture when we've done something like a tour of the quarter circle U or out hiking. And then I'll just ask, hey, you guys mind if I post this stuff? No? Okay. So that's I usually ask, and then if, someone's like, oh, I don't know, I'm wanted, I have outstanding warrants for triple homicide in Florida. I'm not going to do it. Don't want to get you thrown in jail or have them pick you up on that. That's not our point in our opinion. Because we want you to come back next year. And if you're in a cell, you can't come back, and that would be a bummer. So that's pretty much that. So I don't try to out anybody or anybody like that. There's people that don't come because sometimes they feel the heat's getting to them for some of the BS they've spread in the past, and they worry. But I've always said at the Rendezvous, it's a peaceful place. You could be asked questions, and if you don't like the question, you're not going to be accused of anything. If someone ever got accused, we had a couple of those incidents very early on, and I had talked to those people and just said, why do that, Wait till the Rendezvous over, go back, get on the internet chats or whatever to do that stuff and fight, but don't fight here. It's so bad. Yeah, that would be weird to have the Thomas and the Petrash and then the Holmes crowd and the Stone Map guys and the Jesuit guys who were Stone Map guys, but not hard Stone Map guys, and have them in their little cliques and start to do battle and stuff, and then I would have to walk them all out, and I don't want to do that. I've never had to do that, so that's just my thing. I told Randy, I think it was the first or second one we ran. It was like the third or fourth run. I told Randy, I said, do I have to camp up there this year? And he said, I don't know why. And I said, because it's going to be, should we just walk them out at gunpoint, or should I just pick them off? But that was the whole, it was kind of a joke. I think Randy thought I was a little serious. But, yeah, we've never had that contemptuous or that problem. Usually there's always that one person that'll drink too much, and we usually settle them down. I remember there was someone last year got a little too loud and stuff, and I had to take a serious moment. And then this year there was one, and it's very brief. It's usually they understand, because no matter how much alcohol's flowed or everything else, everyone sobers up very quickly. It's more about not endangering other people, endangering yourself, and being respectful. And usually everybody comes right back on board. We're right back in the groove again. So there's never been a worry about that. I mean, if someone wanted to bully or pick on someone, I think we'd all pretty quickly straighten that out. So there's always a tree to hang you by your frickin' ankles, and then let that blood drip from your forehead for a day or so. That'll usually wake you up. So, but no, we never have had that serious problem like that. So, which is a good thing. And yes, it kind of is a one-of-a-kind experience, because each rendezvous is very different than the others. They're similar and they're different. Early ones were Friday night guest speakers. Later was Saturday. The one-of-a-kind experiences like Clay sitting up around the fire talking, through the night. A couple times Tom Collenborn did it. Bob Corbin has done that, where they're not necessarily guest speakers, but they just talk. And you get some unique perspectives, but you get some unique stories you've heard before, and these gentlemen are wonderful storytellers. And so there's been a lot of really cool stuff that's happened in the camp. And then again, there's things that people bring in. I know when Bowman came in with his stuff, I remember that. I got pictures of that. And when that happened, I know there's been several other people that have come in and out and drifted in and then done their thing. So it's been cool. I can always separate them. I may not be able to chronologically put them together, but I can always remember all these different things that happened over the years. and what made each rendezvous a little unique or different from other ones. So very cool. I remember when Joe Roboto and Peter Esposito hugged because they feuded for years, and they got up and shook hands and then gave each other a quick hug, and then they sat down, and we were like blown away, because if you want to know what that feud was like, that was completely like mind-blowing. We thought that would never happen. But, you know, when you're in camp and in that given situation, it's not about sitting there and just being groveling about the guy down the hill or something. It's like more of what you're going to hear is like, well, why can't you just come down and sit around the fire there? And, you know, anybody that's sitting somewhere and not getting in with the group and then says something to the effect of, well, I didn't hear much about this. Well, you missed some really good stuff, and you missed some really important stuff at a few times, because there was a few people that drifted in and out, and then you missed that. So... right, at least you know I'm not a fleeing felon. Well, we don't really know that, do we now? That could have been a whole act. So there you go. So the golden pause right now. It's a brief. It's not a 5-minute, but... Dr. Pepper. But no, we had a great time. I look forward to the next one and getting the date set. I do remember in March, for any of you locally, the Ides of March. Wear the Ides of March? Well, don't wear them. Come on down to the Mammoth Saloon and have something to eat with us, and join us for the Treasure Hunt of the Year Award, which I think this will be the 31st annual. Plus, we will be doing the induction for all the Veterans Committee people that are put in, which I believe will be 31 people, 30 or 31, and those plaques will be... So we have all the plaques, and then the additional plaques, most of that stuff should be handed off to the mayor, Bob Shoes, to be put in the museum. And our Hall of Fame experience and all that will be proper, and we'll be putting that up. I'm very proud that we managed to do that and where that's went. So the next thing, obviously, is when people say write a book, I think there has to be something on that, is each 12 years of the candidates and the people who went in, and then the veterans guys, and a little bit of an autobiography, at least their picture and their names, so people always remember them and what they brought to us in the mountains. That being said and done, there was a few people that didn't make it with us. There was a few people that I can't tell you that did, that people didn't realize. But our good friend Jack Sanfelice was feeling under the weather, and we understood. I was very surprised he still had been planning to come. But, you know, there's a certain point with age and just health. I mean, just kind of, you know, relax and don't worry about it. There will be next year, so I'm looking forward. And he sent a couple books to raffle off, and that was very awesome of Jack. But Jack's such a good dude, man. Deserves, you know, better than sometimes what he gets treated by people. And we'll leave that alone at that. But, yes, so we will be getting the Chasing Legends up. We'll try to go back and forth to the lives. Of course, right now we're starting to get more and more into the mountains at different times and working on other stuff and kind of plopping stuff down. So that's a very cool thing. Everybody just quit talking. Like, everybody's entranced by whatever I'm saying. I'm not that good. Anyhow, but yeah, pick up the shirts and hats and stuff. Get that stuff moving. Next year we will try to bring in some hats and shirts and kind of do that stuff and make sure that, you know, there's coffee cups definitely. But we'll start kind of moving that stuff a little bit. Coffee cups are real easy because there's no sizing or nothing like that. And I guess the hats are okay. They're a little more expensive. But I guess we can build up a little inventory, come and bring them in. One of the other problems is having all that room. Cayman may have kind of left on purpose. Do you know if SARS is leading that way else? Here's the problem. There hasn't been many updates. I'm hoping they'll start updating or going out and searching. Some people have searched the areas and they've sent me coordinated what areas they've been in and what they've kind of fine-tuned down. SARS was invited to be at the Rendezvous. I asked them, this is the Superstition Search and Rescue group who've been out and talked before. I asked them to come out and talk about, you know, Cayman Welch and this other guy and a few things they participated in. I know there's always this struggle between them, Maricopa and Pinal, and some of the searches and stuff. And I don't know why the county sheriff's department's always got to flex their muscles. Everybody's got to be official. Cooper and those guys have always done a fine job. But anyhow, So I don't know what was going on with that. They didn't really ever get back to me. I was wondering if they'd just have someone show up and come up and say, hey, yeah, we wanted to talk about some of that stuff. They always have open space to talk about it. Everybody's getting ready to go back in the mountains, so it was a perfect opportunity. They did not show up. Nobody asked to speak. I don't really know. I haven't got anything. If one of them reaches out to me still, because I'm still waiting on callbacks, and I get some updates on some of it, I'll talk about it on here and kind of keep people updated. I've heard that from a number of different people, and I kind of had that feeling in the back of my head of just because of the very short distance between the overlook or the overlook, the overview point, the Weavers, the viewpoint, whatever you call that stupid thing. Anyways, because of the short distance there is between that and the horse trailer parking lot at First Water, it just kind of throws me off because it's just there's a lot of open ground, but then it seems like if he would have been able to figure things out. Plus, if you go, certain directions, if he would have been trending certain ways, where he would have ended up. So it kind of puzzles me, but who knows? I mean, you never know. I just wonder if that's the possibility. That kind of makes me, I kind of feel like he just took off, went off, and he could have just caught a ride and been out, and nobody would know. Wanted to be there, but wanted a new roof more. Okay. Just bought one of Jack's books, When Silver Was King. Awesome. Looking forward to reading. Yeah, that Silver with King was one of the first ones he came out with. That's a really good book. And he's a part owner in that, in the Silver King mine. How do you see the Supers in 10, 20 years? Any changes for the better? The development? Well, they're putting in more development. I don't know, because the development happens in slow spurts every 20 or 30 years. So it will be interesting in 20, 30 years to see what their next jump is on things. Fortunately, with the fires, they cleaned a lot of the dead brush and a lot of stuff out. So it'll rejuvenate it. A lot of areas will start to grow back. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like then if it clears. Sometimes you get the fires and the springs come back. I know that happened at Zane Gray's cabin up in the rim, is that when the fire came through, the pump for the well at Zane Gray's cabin hadn't worked forever, and then the well came back. So it's interesting. Sometimes there's positive from that. But I don't know. I haven't heard I don't know. You never know with one administration or group to the other. I mean, it's always a bit silliness, You have your people that want to preserve and climate control and different things, and then they do the very opposite things. I was really hoping to see some motion politically where we would think they would fix Apache Trail. I don't even know if that would happen one way or the other, but I think one way it wouldn't, which I never understand. But who knows? Politics in the wilderness area and politics in the mountains don't really go together, which is why at the Rendezvous you hear a very limited number of it, because when you hear some of it, it just doesn't fit. The mountains don't give a crap. Mountains don't care if you climb to the top. Mountains don't care that you walk 20 miles. Mountains don't care about a lot of crap. I had a friend once said, hey, I started at First Water and I made it all the way to the Peralta Trailhead with a mouthful of water and I never drank it. So I spit it on the ground. Blah, blah. Okay, nobody gave a shit. Guess what? I made the same hike. It took me 3-4 days once because you know why? I paid attention when it was around and looked around. Yeah, He-Man stuff, that good for you if that's what you want. I don't time myself. I don't I look back to see how many miles I might have put in wandering around, but I think enjoy the mountains. The mountains don't really care. They could give a crap about you for the most part. If they do give a crap about you and you're in the mountains, then you're probably going to face some serious issues and problems. Just bought one of Jack's. Okay. When everybody stops talking, that means you are a true master of ceremony. Congratulations, you captivated us. Cool. How come that doesn't happen in my household with my own children, man? Shit, I can say shut up 52 times and everybody talks louder around me. That one was for you. No? I don't have the power of master of ceremony in my own house?
Guess not.
Guess not. All right, so, Gil Gold prospecting is bugging out. Hungry horses, remember, it's a golden day. It's your day. Yeehaw! So there we go. There's our gang. So Gil Gold's prospecting. Yeah, it's our only sponsor. So he gets that little there. just for saying it each time. It was such a beautiful time and place to be out there. Heck, I wish I was still. Yeah, well, you know what? Join the Dons Club. Become a member of the Dons. You get a key and you can go out there anytime you want and camp out and just watch the stars. Yeah, no, I don't really pull it together. You guys pull it together. You guys show up. I'm going to be out there either way. It's one of those weird things where you're just like, Greg Davis once told me, I said, what happens if we're doing this and in a few years nobody comes? And Greg says, it'll be me, you, and Randy sitting on the side of the road with a campfire. You have a problem with that? And I went, no. He said, okay, well, that's good. So that was really kind of, there you go. Can we book the Don's Camp for a week straight and just head out into the mountains like the Peraltas? Well, why would we book it for a week straight and head in the mountains like the Peraltas? You could have done that at the Rendezvous. Take the whole week off and take off. Anybody can reserve it and stuff like that. I don't have to pay for it because I'm a member of the Dons. So if you want to go out there and stay and just enjoy it and go do some hiking in the mountains and come back to your stuff locked up behind the gate, that's cool. It's one of the nice things about it. Base camp. Oh, okay. Like Don's Camp. Well, you can call it either one. It's been the Don's Camp, the Don's Base Camp. I think it's just had different designations. I think it's all semantics for the most part. It's like saying it's the Don's Club, the Dons of Arizona. I think it's all semantics. It's all the same, one and the same. But it's always just the Dutch Hunter Rendezvous, which, again, was very cool and all. And I thank everyone because there's a lot of great people. Kim and Chris did us a big favor helping us out visually and audibly. Audibly? Is that a word? Audibly. But hate to waste ammo. It depends what you waste it on. And it depends. If we were talking, there were some bow hunters there, and we were talking, you don't waste ammo when you're bow hunting. You zing the air, you can always retrieve it and use it again. As long as they don't fall on it and bend it or break it. But, yeah, awesome for them. Thanks for Kristen and Jesse coming out. And, you know, they sold some books of Jesse's, which was very cool for Jesse. Jesse did. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for Don and Melanie Gibbs for coming out and doing the whole thing, the past presidents, and dressing up like the Dons. That was very nice of them to do the whole ensemble and stuff and come out and kind of show that. To be honest, I've been a Don for years, and you know I've worked at Discovery Camp, and I've done other than the parade. We don't dress like that, and that's very cool that they do. But usually I have a red shirt that says the Dons of Arizona, and I have a baseball cap and stuff. But I did get a Don's hat. I got a Spanish Don's hat, so I do have that. I want to get us where me and Frank are wearing sombreros with Trevor, and then we can be the three amigos. Okay, I'd love to do that. Trevor's can't wait either. Getting Frank in a sombrero might be a problem. But, yeah, so we're kind of... But there were so many people to thank. And, you know, you got to thank someone like Clint, who's willing to share his name and talk about all this. But, because they come out and they interact and they ask questions, and they're always worried about his stupid questions and shit. But I think he would basically say, no, everybody was pretty chill and cool and pretty good mood. And everybody was willing to share stories and stuff. And if you asked a question, but there was a lot of laughter and a lot of other things going on. We try to make everybody feel welcome. And we know some people are going to struggle out there and have their moment and their issue. But we try to, you know, there's all kidding aside, we're still trying to see if the guy can make it and how he holds up through everything. And he did. And everything was cool. And he had a blast. He probably had a great time. And if that it's memorable means he will return again. And if he didn't return again, if Clint goes, you know what, I'm really not into that stuff. I got a couple books and stuff, but there's a lot of other things going on in my life and so forth. Cool thing is he has that memory. And that's what we want people to leave with, is they bring their kids out. They bring, you know, this out, that out. There wasn't many dogs. There was only, well, Kim and Chris brought 3, and then Kristen brought 2. She usually brings 2. I think those 2. Sal didn't bring all his chihuahuas this year. So I don't think there was as many dogs as usual. And Greg Davis did not make any negative remarks about the dogs, because usually he has a big issue with the dog. It's always a good escape from life. And it's not necessarily escape. It's just to see what it's like. The only problem I would have is over the years we've had 18 years of the Rendezvous. we've lost a lot of night sky because the lights keep creeping around the mountain, and that's sad. Because it used to be, even in the Don's camp at night, you could look up and the stars just exploded. Now, one problem we had was we had a very bright moon too, so that kind of affected it a little. But okay. And Joe was a great data man. We debated a lot, and so did Jim Hat. Yeah, Jim Hat in person was a little different, but Joe was always a welcoming host. Joe would get up your craw. Joe could piss you off. Joe could do this. Joe could do that. Joe also always fed you. Made sure if you didn't have a place to sleep, Joe would figure out some way to make sure you were comfortable for the night. Joe was always a wonderful host. He took care of people. There were people who did not care for Joe's opinions, his politics and stuff, but Joe and his wife, Carolyn, genuinely cared and took care of people. And I will say this, there's a few people on my shit list, and those people, I think they kind of know who they are, and some of it is because, I understand having the one issue with Joe, but to think Joe was a bad person or stuff, or some of the stuff they tried to say about him and afterwards, I won't take, man, because he was a good guy. I miss him very much. I didn't get to talk to him as much the last couple of years. He would be very ill, and it got difficult for him at times, but I did like to hear Joe's voice. I could always hear him cheer up. He made it to a couple rendezvous toward the end there and all that, but I miss Joe a lot. I miss him. I got as much criticism and his BS as anybody. So anybody ever wants to say he was way too hard on me, no, he wasn't any lighter on me. He was tough. And Jim Hat was a very different individual. Jim was very different and unique in that. And like I think I talked to the rendezvous, Jim Hat always looked like he just walked into camp and chewed on a lemon. I always thought he was always pissed off at someone. If Jim Hat would have walked up to me laughing and smiling in a good mood, I would have been scared to death. I would have thought, well, he's going to kill someone. He's in a good mood. But Jim was a good guy. He was pretty knowledgeable. He liked to collect a lot of stories and stuff. We talked a lot about those sorts of things. We had sometimes very different perspectives on the stories. I didn't disagree with Jim, which is why we got along. I just was chasing or looking at something completely different. But our end aim goals were very similar, which is kind of what affected with Michael Bilbrey, is we both were trying to work with Michael Bilbrey. I just wanted, in the genuine end, I wanted to see if he would come to the rendezvous, not participate. He could go by an alias. And I wanted to work to see if I could get the museum or the historical society or find out what happened to his stone crosses. It wasn't about them being fake or real or anything like that. It was just genuinely trying to find a moment we could preserve or make some connection with him. Because Jim was very much a believer in Bilbrey's stone crosses and all that stuff. Jim had a whole different agenda. But I think he realized he had scared Bilbrey off a little. But I had a whole different tact, and it was, it wasn't a con or anything else. It was just like, hey, if you know where those things are and there's a way we could work this out, but come on out, and we're not going to talk about them, and nobody's going to know who you are, and just be around these guys and see if you meet the guys behind the voices that you're pissed off about, and they won't know who you are. And I think he might have kind of like loosened up even more at that, but I wanted to make that connection to kind of like be able to tell that story forward. Other than I have tapes of him talking about it and other people talking about it, I wanted to get it into a nice and quiet moment. This is all gone. This is all in the past. The cons, this, that, everything else is over. Kind of the psychology behind what happened and stuff. And I think I made some inroads, but unfortunately he passed away, and that was that. So, but yeah, Jim and I got along because of that, because I think Jim and I chase things from a very different perspective, and at times we're chasing very different things, but we're able to meet on the path, and we got along. So we didn't hang out, but we got along well enough. And well enough that while he wouldn't attend the rendezvous, because he respectfully always said he was worried he'd stir up trouble with someone, which I understand, but I don't think that would have happened. I think Jim would have had a great time. But on the other hand, he turned to me and said, hey, I want to donate things to the rendezvous for raffles. And one of those things was his copies of the Bilbrey crosses. And that was a very cool thing. He made sure we got it, and we were able to raffle it off and stuff. So that was a very cool thing Jim did for us. So, and that's what I always try to do is at least, I may not be best of friends with everyone, but I always want to, in the end, singularly be able to step back and say, I wasn't enemies with really any of the Dutch hunters. Now, understand that. I was not enemies with any of the Dutch hunters, okay? There might be people that I'm fond of and may not be fond of me, but they're not Dutch hunters, okay? And those people are people that I just don't think belong in that shape or form or whatever. Wow, we've almost pulled our hour, so we won't be going super long because there's dinner coming. It's, I think, fry bread tonight, isn't it?
Navajo tacos.
Yeah, so it's called fry bread.
Yeah.
Navajo tacos, yeah, we're having fry bread.
Yes, fry bread.
Health food. So we're going Mexican this week. I don't know why. Last night was green chili burritos. Yeah, so no pizza.
Pizza's tomorrow.
Yeah, which is steak night. So I'm totally fucking
It's
confused.
because he brought the other two home.
Yeah, I got the picky eaters. Yeah, but why do you got to change your normal routine? Better be, and then Sunday should be spaghetti. So then what am I doing steak? This is a problem. Well, we may have to stop here because there may be a huge issue here. So there's problems. What do we got here? AI? Or is that I? Or I don't know what it is. Do you? Okay, so anyways, we're working on more film. We did put it out at the Rendezvous and talked to a number of different people, but we're trying to still always look for 8mm old VHS. That's just failing that we have the ability to transfer it digitally for you. So reach out to me, find a way to get that. Definitely, we want to get that stuff preserved for you too, because if you have memories and that kind of stuff on that stuff, it's a shame that you're going to go to it or your children or grandchildren go to look at it, it's gone. Oh, Mexican, okay, food, haha. What's fucking about food, man? Food's good. I like food, man. I like food. I like steak. I like steak a lot. But I will do with the fry bread tonight. Oh, there we go. What?
You have 2 more messages.
2 more. I see Jack says LOL.
It's above.
Only joining now. Oh, from Ireland. Hope you're well. Hello from Ireland. How was the rendezvous? Well, you have to watch back because we talked about that a lot. Yeah, that's why you're late. You're at the end, at the tail end before I'm leaving. But watch the rest of it because we do talk about it a bit. And a few of the participants chimed in and stuff. Trev for all his work. Wayne, any trips planned for the next year? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. When? Yeah, here's my itinerary. I'll be wearing a yellow vest over the bright red shirt as I walk through the desert. Yes, there's a lot of trips planned. There's a lot of things specifically planned. Some of it is kind of for filming for Trevor's benefit and for your benefit. Some of it is planned completely for things that Frank and I are very interested in. And we will not be sharing those things until after the fact. That's how you keep kind of secrets and get stuff. Because if you want the gold bars, you got to go in and get them. You don't tell everybody, well, we're going to be over, yeah, everybody meet me out at First Water. I'm just, northeast of there, about 400 yards. You'll see this thing up on the... me and Frank will be up there pulling out some gold bars on Tuesday, just about 10 a.m. Yeah. Bring pizza. You'll be hounded. Well, you not only get hounded, it's just you got to worry because Frank will always say, there's a drone. I'll go, yeah, there's a drone. Well, they're watching us. Okay, well, maybe not. I don't know. Well, if you keep looking at it and pointing at it and they figure out it's Frank Augustine, they will be watching us from... I wonder, and it's happened a couple times we've shown up in other people's videos, but I always wonder how that doesn't happen more often because we see stuff and there's a drone goes by and it flies by. And I always wonder if those guys look at us and go, oh, shit, it's Wayne and Frank. It's like... And people always seem to be surprised, like, oh, it's Wayne and Frank in the mountains. The guys from that TV show about the Superstition Mountains, the guys that do videos of the Superstition Mountains. Imagine that, they're in the mountains. Wow, look. Didn't expect to see you guys here. That's the whole purpose. So, is that me I hear talking through your headphones? That's weird. Kind of hear it when I get loud once in a while. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna just kind of turn the volume down and get ready to get out of here because I'll get a headache eventually, and I need me fry bread and my beans on my fry bread. And if you're one of those people who puts lots of tomato and lettuce and stuff on that stuff, no, I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, so the Mexican tacos or Navajo tacos tonight. Yeah. So we'll be doing that on a Friday night because it used to be family pizza night, and then the kids, everybody's here, all the kids are here, and now we're doing Navajo tacos. And confusion, utter confusion. So there we go. Yes, I will watch it back. Been sick all week. Well, hope you feel better. Hope you heal yourself up and stuff and all that. Nice. We love Secrets of the Superstitions. That's the next one. Secrets of the Superstitions, where I sit here and do this. That'll be Secret Service. We'll call it the golden moments. The golden pause. Still cool. I gotta admit, that's just the. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks again, guys. Have a good dinner. English breakfast. Navajo tacos. Fried bread and powdered sugar honey. See, I don't do it that way. That's like the white guy thing at the state fair. No, it's like a lunch thing, and you put beans and cheese on it and stuff, and you eat it. You can put steak strips on it and stuff, and you eat it. You're doing like the sweet, let's like frickin' be on insulin next week's way. Ooh. But, no. So, no. And I don't smell it. So I take it they're not coming up. I mean, I guess the dough's being done right now. So we're pounding out the dough. Guys, so I'll do a lot out of fry bread. I remember there were some pictures of him cooking fry bread and stuff and messing around, but I miss Dave Chase, man. God, we lost him about a year ago, so miss good old Dave, man. So he used to come out the Rendezvous with his wife, and yeah, Deb's still around, but yeah, Dave unfortunately was one of the people, many people that have not continued on with us, and we miss him a great deal. Man, the desert way is cool also. So, but yeah, fried bread with beans and stuff like that. I've never tried fried bread with chorizo, but I'll just eat chorizo with about anything. Oh, by the way, next year at the Rendezvous, I already did make the decision. It will not be sausage and eggs. It'll be chorizo and eggs. I'll make up a batch of chorizo, some eggs. I will have tortillas, and we will wrap them puppies up, man, and we will, get fired up. Because I thought that sounded so good and all that. So, anyways, treasure cactus, the treasure cactus. Okay, Wayne, Def gonna try picana Brazilian beef. Okay. Okay. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for all you that came out to the Rendezvous. Thank you for always joining us here on Fridays. And everything there. Thank you guys for participating and joining us and watching Chasing Legends on Mondays, because we do appreciate everybody's stuff. You don't know how good it makes me feel, not only the groups and people we have, the sustained audience we have, but then I go to the Rendezvous and I see unexpectedly Dutch Hunter Rendezvous or Legend shirts or the hats and stuff, and some people had the coffee mugs. That's very cool because we pushed the stuff because we thought people would want it, and then seeing people are picking it up and all that, and I got to see all the variety of shirts. I got to see the gray long sleeves and short sleeves and the blacks and this and that. So it was cool to see all that stuff out there, which means we must have done well by you. So, but we thank you. We're not making anything off it, but we thank you guys still for participating and being part of everything. So here we go. We're going to wrap it up because we're doing it short, but we're just kind of keeping it in tune here and all. It's a Friday night. I am hungry. I hope everybody, and thank you for each and every one of you that would have served or have served or whatever. Happy Veterans Day. I'm so glad so many more companies are giving people time off on Veterans Day. I worked with a Vietnam War hero. He had a number of medals, had saved his group back in Vietnam. The man's name, I don't know if he's still around. His name was Bill Husky. William Husky came out of Arizona, went to Vietnam. Awesome individual, decorated veteran and stuff. And he always used to turn to me when we were working and say, it's such a shame that, Veterans Day and we got to work. And I hope wherever Bill is or whatever the case is, I always respected him. He was a good boss. I always thought he was a good man. But, those guys like that, always let them know you appreciate them and so forth. This year, my crew everybody was able to get it off, but I have in the past for certain dates that the guys do not get off. If we did not have Veterans Day off, my veterans were given the day off with pay. I always try to do that because I let everybody know those guys did their thing. Whether they were, they went and served active duty, they did not know what could come to them. And had a couple guys, 2 or 3. There's always 2 or 3 guys working in my crews, and I always give them the time off. But thank you to you for your service or whatever, and to the families that have had someone serve. All right, so thank you. Happy Veterans Day. And happy Friday, and happy Go Eat My Navajo Taco Day. My cousin John was in the Vietnam War Army for years. Bless them all. Yes. So thank you, everybody, and everything. We will see you chasing legends on Monday, and then I don't know what's coming next Friday. Trevor will put it out there, whatever it is, ahead of time, if I'm doing live or if we're doing something else. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being here. It was awesome. And always remember, all together now, always remember, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And thanks for joining us on Live Legends. Man, that's such a tongue twister. I'll get that right sometime. Now we go through that whole trippy thing where I try to figure out how to turn this off, because you know what? I'm dumb. We think after all doing all these I would get it. Let's see if I got it. Let's see. Bye.